How is everybody doing out there on the internet? This is your friend Big Frank at Eclectic Collecting, and you're probably wondering why I've got $500 worth of singles sitting right here in front of me. Well, to be perfectly honest, those of you that have been paying attention, have and been subscribed to the channel, been watching my shorts, thank you so much for that. But you've known that I've gotten into Numismatics. That's the collection of money. And right there out the gate, you can see we got some star notes in that stack right there. But Numismatics is the collection of money. And it's probably one of the easiest hobbies I've ever picked up. I mean, you literally just can look through your pocket change, pull money out of the bank, go through it, see what you can find that may be worth something, and then just put the face value money right back into the bank. I cannot stress this enough. This is probably the most lucrative hobby I have ever been a part of because there is literally almost no risk. If you find a bill and you're able to sell it and make a few bucks on it, you're just increasing your value and your money. And if anything turns out to be, as you're seeing, I'm flipping through everything. If you don't find anything, you just put the money back in the bank, and it's all well and good. Probably the easiest way I have ever found to try and make some money and also find some really cool stuff to collect. Now you're probably wondering why I'm going through everything so quickly. It doesn't appear that I'm looking for anything in particular right now. With this first $500 right here, it's the first time I'm doing what's called bill stacking. It's where you get some stacks from the bank, you actually look through all of them, and you see what you can find to start off with. This is a very common tactic for numismatics collectors. And some people find very cool stuff, but to start off with, I'm starting with the most basic of dollar bill collecting. It is called star note hunting. If you look at the back of a serial number, and instead of there being a letter, you see a star, that's called a star note, and it's a replacement note for a bad batch of serial numbers. We may do a video in the future where I explain it a little bit more in depth, but it's basically the mint finding they made a mistake somewhere and that they need to replace some serial numbers and on their bills. So right now we're on the third stack. That little one you saw me look at right there, I thought it may have an ink smear on it, but it was just a post-mint damage stain right there. We'll expand on that as we get more into this hobby. I'm just learning about all of it, but right now I'm just looking for star notes, and even in finding them, you can recognize some patterns right away. Right there, that's called a quad 7. It's 4 of a kind, and those are usually worth a little bit more than face value, so I pulled that one out. It's a really interesting hobby to look through, and the main reason I'm going so fast with this right now is because in the initial search, I'm just looking for star notes, and that right there, that's another one that caught my eye. It's called a double triple. It had some zeros on it, so it technically is a lower serial number, not the lowest, but still worth me taking a closer look at later. And right now, all I'm doing is flipping through these, looking for the star at the end of them. Star note hunting is very easy. You get some stacks with them. You just look at the end of the serial number, and I found another quad right there. That's a quad 5. Being able to recognize certain patterns in numbers is very easy, especially when they're obvious like quads. 4 of a kind or any other unusual pattern that you take a look at. You know, very easy to see those, very easy to spot them. And believe it or not, in the first 4 of those stacks right there, I only found about 3 bills that I set aside. And right here, the first one out the gate on number 5 right there, I found a star note right there to begin with. You see that little star at the end of it? That's a star note right there. Right at the end of the serial number, that's where you find the stars, and sometimes they can be worth a little bit of money, but usually they're also one of the first bills you start collecting when you get into numismatics, mostly because it's the easiest to find. That one right there caught my eye. And if you look closely, you'll see that there's 255 on one end and 255 on the other end. That's called a bookend, and we'll talk about that later. And very quickly, it looks like I'm going through all of those, but right there, quickly, I found another star note right there. And it's very easy to find. Wait, was that a star note? I'm not 100% sure. I'm reading from my notes. Yeah, there's the third star note. That other one was a double triple, which was a 3 of a kind and a 3 of a kind right there. But it's a very interesting hobby to be a part of, and I'm reading from my notes because I'm trying to make this as professional as possible. But From those particular 500 bills right there, there's one star note. And then, of course, we've got a second star note right there, looking pretty cool. And where's that other one? Okay, right there it is. There it is. How did I pull that out? I wasn't even reaching for that one. That's some sleight of hand stuff right there. Is this magic? I don't know, but those other 5 right there were interesting for a reason. And there's the third star note right there. And we're going to take a closer look at them. 3 star notes, all from one stack, but 3 out of 500. You know, they are listed as uncommon, not exactly what you would call rare, but 3 out of 500, that's a 0.6% right there as far as that goes. And as you can see, I got another one right there with some interesting serial numbers right there. That one in particular is going to be, that's the bookend one right there. You can see the 255 on both ends. Very interesting. Why do I have such a small preview window right there? But you can see that's a quad right there. That's a quad right there. All of it is, oh my God. I just did a full-blown stutter right there. I haven't done that in years. Anyway, that was kind of funny right there. But as you can see from the patterns, looking at these serial numbers, those are called fancy serial numbers. They look a little bit different, and you know, there are hundreds of videos out there that can explain fancy serial numbers. We'll of course explore it as well, because I'm going to be making a follow-up video of this. But this star note hunt only yielded 3 star notes, and this one in particular caught my eye. We zoomed in on it, and as you can see, that star right there, it's not looking very clear and very crisp. I think that may be an ink smear one. This right here is called a jeweler's loop. It's used by collectors to look at the finer details of smaller things. This used to have an LED in it, but it doesn't work anymore. So I wanted to quickly take a look at that, but I couldn't really get it to look good on camera. I can confirm that that star had a slight smear on it. I don't think it's an extensive smear, but again, I'm brand new to this hobby. I have a lot of research to do and a lot of experience to gain in a short amount of time. But of course, as many of you know, when you start off with collecting and you want to protect something, you should put it in plastic sleeves. If you're a comic book collector, you want to bag and board them. If you're into baseball cards, you do a similar type of protection sleeve like this. Now, I'm still going to do a lot of research on these bills because, believe it or not, even star notes can be worth even more than 3 to 5 times face value based on how rare they are. But these I'm going to have to take a closer look at. And right now, I am just putting everything I can find into these protective sleeves until I do further research on them. Now, some of these star notes may not be worth anything more than face value, and I'll just put them back into circulation, or I'll just keep them because I like them. But condition is everything when it comes to collecting money, so I want to protect those right away. And there you have it, my first star note hunt on a bill stacking venture, and I found 3 star notes. Hopefully I'll find more, so make sure you click the subscribe button and we'll take a look at this hobby as I begin to explore it. And remember, if you're not collecting eclectic, you're not collecting at all.